Welcome to the beast I unleash. I'm a motherfucking beast.
Alright, what's up YouTube? So today I wanted to talk to you guys about mentality and why it's so important and why literally mentality is everything when you're dieting or going towards any goal. But this is going to be specifically geared towards dieting. You have to have the right mentality when you are dieting in order to be successful. So my thoughts about this started yesterday when I got my cardio increase from my coach. My macros are the same this week, but my cardio went from 6 days a week of 30 minutes fasted to 6 days a week of 40 minutes fasted. And that is a lot of cardio. And my first thought was, oh wow, that's a lot. I'm 10 weeks out. Isn't that too much for being so far out from my show? I started panicking a little, feeling bad for myself, blaming my coach, things like that. And of course it's a lot of cardio. Of course it's hard. Prep is supposed to be hard. Prep is supposed to kick my ass. And it's not supposed to be easy or normal. And I think that's where a lot of people get this misconception that prep is just something that people do, and they're like, oh, I work so hard, but people don't realize that these people are actually working really hard to an extreme that is not normal. So no one out there with normal fat loss, health, fitness goals should be doing that much cardio. You can still reach those goals at a slower rate with moderate amounts of cardio. That's not what I want to get into. So I guess the first thing that I want to address is that with my cardio increase is that my mentality is literally everything. So I let myself have a little pity party for a second, like, oh, I'm gonna be doing a lot of cardio. This is a lot of work. I'm probably gonna be more tired. Cool. I'll get through it. It's only 10 weeks. If you're doing something that's a short-term goal like prep, it's only 10 weeks. I have done 6 weeks of prep. I have 10 weeks left. I can push. I can do it. I can dig. And the other thing that you always have to remind yourself is a diet is supposed to be hard. Losing weight is supposed to be hard. You get out what you put in. It's supposed to be hard, and anyone who tells you that losing weight is easy or there is an easier way to do it, there isn't. They're lying. You have to put in the work, burn more than you expend, and do it at a rate fast enough to notice a difference and consistently enough to where you're not messing it up by cheating every other day or every week or something like that. So your mentality is everything, and the work isn't optional if you want the results. And it's really just whatever you put in, you're gonna get out. And even sometimes you're gonna put all the work in, 110% effort, and you're still not gonna get the results out. Sometimes that happens, and that's life, and that's not fair. That's how your body works sometimes. Losing weight is something your body usually does not wanna do, so it's not gonna be easy. So I just want people who are dieting for the summer, trying to lose some body fat, to keep that in perspective. It's supposed to be hard. And now this leads me into my next topic, which is a little bit more controversial, but I really think it should be addressed within the fitness industry. So like I said, the first thought that went through my head when I got my cardio increase was, oh my God, my coach is probably a bad coach because they're making me do this much cardio this many weeks out. And that's just not the case. Like, obviously, if you sign on with a coach and the first thing that they say to you is, okay, 7 days a week, an hour and a half of cardio every single day, and 1,000 calories a day from 16 weeks out, 20 weeks out, that's a red flag. Okay, like, you can pretty much be guaranteed that you have picked a pretty sucky coach if that is the first thing that they say to you. But if you get to a point in prep and your coach is making gradual changes, if you get to a point where you're doing a lot of cardio, and I'm like, compared to that, like I'm not doing any cardio, and I have a friend who's doing twice as much as me, and she's much closer to her show, so it makes sense. But I'm saying if you get to a point where you're doing a lot of cardio, you're doing a lot of lifting, you're doing a lot of work, you're not eating that much, that's prep. Let that sink in. Like, people don't realize that flexible dieters who are dieting on 200 grams of carbs and still losing weight is like, that's not normal. Those people who can do that are outliers. They are outliers, and outliers get attention on social media because everyone wants to be that person who can diet on a high amount of food and lose a lot of weight. That is the ideal situation. Unfortunately, most people are not built that way. Most people will have to dig. Most people have to work really hard. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the people who do have it genetically a little bit easier. They still do have to work hard. Their preps still are hard. Some people do have it a little bit easier than others. And it frustrates me that the fitness industry is starting this trend of labeling coaches as bad for making you do a lot of cardio and not eating that much. Because in the grand scheme of things, that's what you have to do to diet. That is what a diet is. And so when people are labeling, oh, this coach is cutting your calories by this much, oh, they're a bad coach. Or, oh, this coach has you doing this much cardio at this many weeks out, oh, they're a bad coach, get rid of them. A lot of people are starting to label coaches that make their clients do a lot of work as bad, and that's just not the case. And if you took your coach and stood them next to Kai Green's coach or Phil Heath's coach and asked them how much exercise is Phil Heath doing, how many days a week is Dana Lynn Bailey doing for cardio, like if they're on prep, they're probably doing more than your coach is making you do. So it's all about perspective. If your coach wants you to succeed, then they're gonna push you and they're going to test your limits, and prep is going to test your limits, which is why it's not for everyone. So I want to make this analogy for you guys. Bodybuilders, people in prep, are to fit people, normal people at the gym, just doing their fitness thing, is the same as an Olympic athlete to, like, let's say a high school athlete or a college athlete or someone who plays like a travel sport. It's a lot more work. It's a different scenario, and you have to put a lot more in to get the results in prep that are successful. With this stigma that prep is becoming this fad, this trend, especially bikini, the classes just get bigger and bigger with every show. So many more people are on prep. You see so many more Instagram like fit chicks every single day. People start to believe that prep is something that is attainable, something that is healthy, something that is good for you and good for your body image, which just isn't the case. And I see so many people starting an NPC or whatever division prep as like the kickstart to their weight loss journey, which is a terrible idea. If you're scared of getting in front of people with a bikini on, then an NPC bikini show is not the cure-all to your problems. The cure to your problems is building self-confidence, building the confidence to go to the beach and take your shirt off, not to get on stage at an abnormally lean body fat percentage and starve yourself and do excess cardio to get there. And the reason why I say this is because most of the time the people who are starting their weight loss journeys are not as well versed in fitness and nutrition as those who have been competing for years and years and years. So if you're uneducated on fitness topics and nutrition, then you start to believe that what you're doing for prep is normal. And this can really begin a vicious cycle, and I just don't want to get into all of that, but you are setting yourself up for failure if you really are just a beginner in fitness and you think that prep is this cure to your weight loss. Like I was saying, prep is this fad that is really glamorized by social media because it's awesome. Bikini prep is awesome. Like, it is a hard freaking journey, and you get to the end of the road and you get to show off all your hard work and you look freaking awesome. But too many people are getting the perception that it's easier than it is what I'm trying to say here. And there's just so many outliers who have reached like Instagram or social media fame that haven't had to work as hard or are preaching that you can still do this and this and this while you're on prep. And unless being a competitor is literally your job and you're making your living and income off of that, that's not the case. Like, most people don't have the time to go to the gym for 4 hours a day and center their life around their meals and their macros. So people get this perception that prep is so easy and doable that everyone signs up, and then once it gets hard, once they start having to do a lot of work, they go, oh my gosh, my coach sucks. Look, and then they go on social media and they say, look at what my coach made me do. I was so unhealthy, I was so unhappy, I was doing this amount of cardio, I was eating this little, and like, he set me up for failure. Like, no, they were putting you on an aggressive track to the stage, and that's what you're supposed to do. And you need to know the difference between a bad coach and someone who just wants you to succeed. Just bringing this full circle, if you're gonna do an NPC prep, which if that's what you really want, then I'm not trying to discourage you from it. I'm saying know what you're getting into and expect it to be hard. Expect it to be a grind. Expect to have to really, really dig, push your body to its limits. And because that's what prep really is. You're getting to extreme levels of low body fat percentage, and your body's gonna fight you every step of the way because your body does not like to be in that state. Just know what you're getting yourself into, and your mentality can then be your lifesaver in that situation. But just don't be that person who signs up for a prep, starts to get hard, they quit, and then they blame their coach and give their coach a bad rap. And on the other hand, if you start a prep and you didn't know what was coming at you and you start to have to grind really hard and you don't like it and you don't want to keep going, if you quit, then you quit. Like, it's not a big deal and no one's gonna be mad at you. It just wasn't for you. So just don't blame your coach for it, because it's just, that is you not wanting to do the work. So just be accountable for that. With any weight loss goal and with any prep, you have to put aside immediate gratification. And so I'm going back to talking about mentality here and how your mentality is everything when you're dieting, because there's no outside force that is forcing you to give into your craving. There is nothing that is making you skip your workout. If life happens, it happens, but most of the time, 99% of the time, you can make time for something. We live in this world where now is all that matters. So now I want this piece of pizza, and now I want my goals to be here, done, now. And that's just not how it works with long-term goals, big projects, a prep, a diet, anything. So immediate gratification and skipping your workout and cheating on your diet really only leaves you with like a cool feeling, or even worse, regret. You're never going to give into your craving for ice cream and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I had that ice cream, so happy I cheated on my diet, so happy I went off track. Like, no, you're either gonna say, okay, cool, craving done, like I'll get back on track tomorrow, or, which is the best case scenario, which is what you want your mentality to be if you do mess up. But most of the time you're gonna look at it and be like, I can't believe I did that. Like, I suck. I can't believe I gave into my craving. So just keep that in mind. If you don't want to have regrets at the end of a diet, at the end of a prep, then don't give yourself any reason to have a regret. You're not gonna be incredibly satisfied in the moment of giving in, except for maybe like 10 seconds of eating whatever cheat food that is, but most likely you're going to be regretful. So just look long term. With my prep, I don't want to look back and have any regrets. I don't want to have any regrets on, oh, I cheated on my diet on these days and I skipped my cardio on these days. Like, I don't want that. I want to look back and say I gave it my all, so that I know that when I exit the stage, no matter what happens, like, I gave it everything. For an example, for me, my posing is something I want to work on. I don't want to have any regrets with my posing because it started out really, really, really bad and it's still not great, and I need to practice it more, and I'm 10 weeks out, so I have lots of time, but I need to start grinding now. So that's one thing that I'm going to be adding on to my schedule now, is more posing. I just need more time in those heels. And the same thing goes for any long-term, short-term weight loss goals. You just have to put off what you want now, because pizza is always going to be there. I say pizza and ice cream a lot because that's like what my number one food that I miss right now. The food and the time to be lazy and not do your workout is going to be there in the future, and that's something that is important with your mentality with dieting. Is you will be okay without this or that food or whatever for this period of time. Like, there will come a time where you can have your cheat food, you can have a day off when you really just don't feel like going to the gym. But if your prep or your diet is your priority, then you need to push that aside and realize that you need to do the work now for the reward later. And my friend Jenny brought this up about one of her family members who was on a diet, and they came up to her and they were like, oh, I haven't had pizza in 4 months, I want it now, like, let's go get pizza. And they're on a diet. So what she said to them was okay, well, you haven't had it for 4 months, like, you're gonna be okay if you don't have it for another 2. And that really resonated with me. Like, yeah, I haven't had a sugar alcohol in 6 weeks, and like, I'm okay, I'm gonna be fine. And you're gonna be fine if you don't have something for X amount of time. I mean, what do you think vegetarians do? From the moment they decide to be vegetarian, they don't have meat for like the rest of their life, and they're okay. You're gonna be okay without a certain food for that period that you were dieting. There will come a time for cheat meals, there will come a time for flexibility, but right now, focus on the long term by putting the work in the short term. So that's my spiel on your mentality when you're dieting, and how you're supposed to expect it to be hard, and how it's supposed to be hard, and how you're supposed to push, and it's not anyone else's fault except for yours if you don't push, and that's what you need to get to your goal. I hope that was helpful. I hope you guys got some motivation out of that and realize that you are accountable for yourself and your goals and achieving those goals, and the people that help you along the way are not to blame. And if you thought this video was helpful, then please give it a thumbs up and comment below any reactions. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Yeah, so please subscribe. More of this prep series to come. I'm on a roll with YouTube right now, so yeah, like the video, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.